Mm. Hello. Welcome to day 6. I hope I wrote day 6 on the thing. Oh, I wrote day 6, day 5. Pretty sure I wrote day 6. Yes, this is day 6. Let's see what it she is. Mm. Hello. Yes, day 6. Welcome to day 6. And we have arrived. So, this is the completion energy of this shift. However, this is feeling into these deeper processes that we've been doing. And so, even though we're completing in the Shadow Alchemy series, there's so much within this that we can work with and continue to go back to and work through. Because what we're feeling into with this journey that we've been on through the first flame and these initiations and crossing the void, and then feeling into this activation of our own authority that we experienced in day 5. And then we can really feel this is this individuation that we are moving into. However, individuation, as Carl Jung spoke to it, is a lifelong endeavor, and it may even be something that we only really feel into its fullness later in life. However, the more that we can like really consciously be able to go in and access these different layers of shadow work, shadow alchemy of self-realization, then we have the potentiality to move into that layer of being a lot quicker, and maybe well before we are in our later years. And so feeling the culmination that we have grown through to a day 6. So if you are popping in here and you haven't done the previous days, I would definitely recommend to do that so that the energies make sense and everything flows into each other. So you've got that forward momentum of the ignition and all these different initiations and crossings and expansion that we've gone through, where we're like really like shifting and changing our energetics so that we can feel into arriving into this day, which is about feeling so present in your own being. It's that I am energy that's really coming through. Um, and feeling that layer of existing without explanation. We are existing without like apologizing for ourselves before we do anything. We can get into that constantly apologizing for any small act and seemingly apologizing for existing when we're like so appeasing to everyone else that we're apologizing for, being in the way at the coffee shop or moving or, needing to get past someone at the supermarket, or someone move, wants to get past you, and you have no idea who they are, and oh, sorry for being in the way, sorry for being here. It's like actually there's different ways that we can communicate with the people around us when those things happen, rather than apologizing for being here and being, moving around in the world in the way that we are. And so that's feeling into this existing without explanation, being able to be without needing to constantly explain ourselves. And when we can get into that situation of beingness instead of doing, constantly doing, then that's that feeling of arriving, like I'm arriving in the present moment, and I am acting in a way in my life that is congruent with my values, my beliefs, my dreams. I am taking aligned action towards everything I want to create and do, rather than feeling like I am, yeah, taking forced action or, yeah, just like constantly doing for the sake of doing. And where we can feel like permission to relax into who we are, where we can take time out to look after ourselves and not be berating ourselves or putting ourselves down for taking some time out for ourselves. So when we can get into that state, we understand that resting is productive. When we can allow our body to rest properly, and we're resting in a way that is has a natural momentum. It's not counterintuitive. We're not just like resting because we feel like we have to rest. It's like this feels like a natural pause, like we pause when we know that we need to. And then our rest, when we are actually resting, is restorative and productive because we're recharging. I personally really like afternoon naps, but I know that some people can't nap in the afternoon because they just sleep forever and yeah, and then just feel like discombobulated for the rest of the day. But I can definitely do even just like a little 10-minute lie down as a recharge, or anything up to 2 hours is really like anything after 2 hours is too much. And 2 hours is not very often. That's usually if I've been doing like heaps of energetic work or engaging with a lot of people or hosting a big event or something, and then I come home and I just go straight to sleep for a few hours just to let my body recalibrate. So it's like really understanding what our body needs to recharge and restart. And if it's having an afternoon nap, then that might be what you need. But even like closing our eyes and actually having a physical nap might not be what you need. But even if you can lie down and read a book for 20 minutes, and maybe a book that is relaxing rather than like, I don't know, self-help or anything like that, where we're still constantly analyzing ourselves. An enjoyable book, maybe something that we can just soften into. Um, yeah, so really noticing and understanding, or if we lay down and listen to a piece of music, like if you had something that was longer, like 20 minutes of just laying and listening to some really, music that just makes you feel like in the zone or relaxed or energized or whatever you might need. And just taking the time to do that and only that, because when we're napping, yes, when I'm napping, I'm definitely just having a nap. So when we are laying and listening to the music, we might just be observing nature or something when we're doing that. And then we can really be honoring our own cycles and feeling this depth of I exist without explanation. And as I was explaining this to Sophia in Witchy Talk, the podcast that I do with my good friend Sophia, and I said that popped into her head, and as soon as she started, I knew what she was singing. And yeah, Eminem's song came to mind, and the lyrics, I am whatever I say I am. And so feeling that when we can get into those aspects of individuation, it's when one becomes truly whole with the identification of self. We're not having an internal battle constantly about what we should or shouldn't be doing, or decisions made, or berating ourselves. There's no internal battle. We don't have multiple dialogues happening that are all competing against each other. And so when we can feel that we've moved into that individuation process, instead of that internal competing, we are collaborating with ourselves. So every idea is productive and intuitive and has forward momentum and has aligned action behind it. And so we're actually collaborating with ourselves internally, because we're all versions of myself are on my side. I can't remember if I said that in one of the I might have said that in day one or two. I can't remember. Every version of yourself needs to be on your side. So if you have a version of yourself that you don't feel is on your side, then going back and doing day 4, that threshold, that crossing, and feeling into what we felt into there, where we extracted that version of self, but only so that we can like really radiate that purity, that love, that forgiveness, that compassion, and really alchemize that so that we can merge that version of self back into us, because we don't want to separate anything from inside our personality and extract it and make it different from us, because that's when we can start having like really fractured perceptions of self, and we don't want to fracture ourselves into different aspects. And so there was a study done, and I'm not going to remember all the details or what it was to do with, but what was spoken about was a way to, that's right, it was to do with the Chase Hughes stuff in the military extraction, and the way to, I don't really want to go into that too much, but it can be dangerous if if you're ever with a psychologist or therapist and they say to, extract that version of self and give them a name that's different to your name. Like you don't want to name anything as different from you, because then you're fracturing your personality, and then you can really get into this like, just really it can induce levels of psychosis. And so, if we're doing this extraction process, it's not actually, it's still you. We still want to view it as a part of you and then be able to embody it back in. And so, that shadow alchemy crossing that into the void is so important to make sure that we are embodying those that aspect of self back into ourselves, and then letting everything else wash away, that is, feeding those toxicity layers within, because we want to feel like cohesive, like all aspects of ourselves are cohesive and coherent within us, so that when we are communicating, every version of myself is on my side. And so I can feel like, um, if I start to feel triggered about something that's to do with my inner teen, I've done a lot of processing work through my inner teen. And so even though I might feel mildly triggered, that version of myself is on my side. So then I can access that different part of self and understand what's happening, and those inner conversations and that inner dialogue is going to be helpful as opposed to unhelpful. And so when we can really feel like those nuanced aspects of being even ever so slightly triggered, and then just like really kind of like just unraveling some little bits, being like, that's interesting. I'm just observing, and not allowing it to really like feed into these deeper layers of self. And because all of these different aspects, so when we can feel into a fragmented version of self is when we are scattered across all these timelines, because we are in layers of suffering through aspects of trauma, and we're in layers of regret through aspects of our own actions that we feel embarrassed by. Then we can feel torn into people pleasing, and we've got all these different versions of self that people please. Um, and then we can fracture ourselves into more and more layers based on, assumptions that we've made about things, or, lies that we're keeping on perpetuating throughout, threads and storylines and stuff. And so I don't know if it was, I can't remember who I was watching, but it was like if I think it might have even been someone like Matt Damon or something like that on a Joe Rogan podcast, or someone was saying, um, no, I don't think it was that Matt Damon one, but anyway, yeah, don't, if you don't tell any lies, then you don't actually have anything to keep track of. And so if we are feeling like really integrated with all of these layers of self, um, then yeah, when we do the shadow work through each of these different layers, then essentially we are becoming more whole. And this is the individuation. This is the process of the accumulation of growth and self-realization, of realizing different aspects. And the self-realization comes from understanding why we do the things that we do, and why I'm triggered, and why I react that way, and why that person annoys me, and why that tone and that voice when that person speaks to me like that irritates me or activates me. It's like, self-realization. I understand. I can alchemize through that now and not let it affect me anymore. I don't have buttons that people can press anymore. And then, yeah, those inner voices stop competing because we're not in comparison, we're not in judgment, and we're not in cycling analysis of anything, just letting everything be whatever it is. Um, yeah. I'm so thirsty. I realized I had Japanese twice today. So I had sushi with the soy sauce, and then later in the evening I had like this eggplant thing that had miso. It was so salty, so thirsty. And so this journey that we're taking with the anima and the animus throughout these whole 6 days today is about integrating both. So feeling that both are integrated. So if you're a masculine, if you're a man, then you're in a feminine, your anima is fully integrated and operating in a healthy way. And as a female, then the inner animus is again integrated and feeling healthy and responding in a really healthy way. And it's the integration of both, like they both marry our as a whole, our internal masculine and feminine are in balance. And so this is also part of the integration. We're not overly responding or reacting out of one or the other. We feel that complete balance. And so this is part of this is also moving without force. We just have a natural momentum that's following that excitement that we feel in our everyday life because we are, yeah, just really living in that alignment that we are feeling on, yeah, in every moment. And so, yeah, really feeling that purity of the awareness of any interaction and everything that we really have happen. And a really good phrase, I can't remember who it came from. I am loving awareness. So your awareness of everything has this loving presence that radiates out of it. And so feeling that is Just a really beautiful affirmation to have written in your diary at certain points, or yeah, around your home, or on your phone, or wherever it's pop up as a notification. I am loving awareness and how we can really feel into this aspect of individuation, and as we grow and age, how are we really reclaiming more aspects of ourselves that are part how we individuating these different parts of ourselves. And it may be that we feel completely whole for a long period of time, and then something may happen and our reality may shift quite dramatically for whatever reason, and then another part of ourself may be revealed that is coming to the surface, so that we can shift and move through it, so we can alchemize aspects of it, and then we go through the processes again, and every time we understand them better. And so this process that I'm taking you through the 7 days, this hero's journey, this activation of the warrior self, this individuation, this inner authority that's rising through us. This is a blueprint. So once, you might work through this, as we're going through it now, and you may take your own notes from your own journey and come up with your own template of how you work through things. And you might revisit this again in a year, or whenever it seems appropriate because of what's happening in your life, and you may get new understandings from each time, or like anything where you rewatch it, you'll hear different aspects. And so this is just like really a template. So you want to create your own blueprints of what you know works for you, so that when things happen, you can go back to them and you can take yourself on that process. And it might not be exactly my process. This is my process. This is what works for me. And some of this may work for you. And then you might find something else from someone else that you want to integrate into a different part of what I do that really helps you more. So this is giving people tools so that you can feel into what that is. And what else? Yeah, the Neptune energy. Neptune. So yeah, we're really in it now. What is the today? It's the 28th. Yeah. So I'm pretty yeah, we're in it. The transit, Neptune is in Aries. And so feeling that there may be shifts that you're feeling and noticing around you, with people, places, things, groups of people, organizations, things that are coming into your field, that may be seemingly different. And it may be your perception of what it is, and it may be things just really shifting and changing in these different ways. And so we really want to feel that we are still having that compassion to oneness and collective, while still being in our inner thought authority, our individuation, with our assertiveness, but with the collective in mind as well. So we really want to be remembering those aspects that Neptune and Pisces brought through, and holding both of those, really alchemizing them together. And I watched someone speak about this transit yesterday, and they were also mentioning this aspect, which I hadn't thought about. So it's not just the end of a 14-year cycle with Neptune shifting out of Pisces and into Aries, and into the beginning, the start of the zodiac. Um, but it's how did she explain it? I don't know how many years that is, but 1861 was the last time that Neptune started in Aries. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Something to do with 1861, and yeah, that's it. So there's a big shifting of energy into this 1861, and there's a lot of patterns that are relevant to what was happening then and to what's happening now on a global platform. So if you're interested in searching and looking up, what was happening at that time frame, and just really correlating and seeing what is going on now. Alrighty, let's go into a journey. So yeah, if you've got make yourself comfortable. If you've got your things around you, your journal, crystals, just closing down your eyes, dropping your presence down into your body, down into your heart, down into your belly, feeling this awareness of your body, this technology that we are, and our humanness, and the importance of honoring our humanness. And feeling your awareness down through your body, feeling your awareness in your fingertips, feeling your awareness in your toes, your elbow, your elbows, and just scanning your body, and noticing when you scan your body, maybe scanning your physical body, your muscles, your organs, down your legs, up your back. And now scan your auric field and notice where you can feel different versions of yourself. And sometimes it can be the version of your anchored self, and then there can be mum mode, work mode. But noticing there's anything that arises that has been really present for you, that it is an activated version of self that feels unheard, can feel that maybe sitting behind your shoulder blades. Maybe you can feel that they are like in your womb space, your stomach, the areas of your body that feel tight or uncomfortable. These are areas where there's an attachment to a version of self that isn't integrated. Maybe there's tightness in your elbows or hands, or cramping in your calf muscles. And if you take that pain or discomfort, wherever it may be residing, and feeling into, speaking into it, asking that aspect of self, that tight shoulder, stiff neck, asking those layers of self what they need to feel heard. What does that aspect of self need to say to you? And can you feel into an age or a time frame that that version of self is speaking to you from? Mm, And listen to what it's being said. Notice if a scenario or a time frame or a vision of an event pops into your mind. And feeling with, as you listen to that version of self, you feel that version of self that feels small inside your body. As it's being heard, it grows and takes up more of your body. And as it does, as it's being seen and heard and understood, the tension that it's holding in that specific area is dissipated, feeling that tension, that pain, discomfort, um, dissipating. Surotoreya tairayamono, surotoreya rayatsi, iriya tairayamono, hiriyatiriya kuchurotoreya tairayamono, iriyati, shurodo ukuchurodai. So feel there may be like an untying of tension that's residing in your muscles. Breathing into the expansion and the awareness of this version of self. It's rising up through you. And feel that version of self filling out all the way to your fingertips and all the way to your toes. And that awareness is shifting and changing and feeling those aspects of being seen and heard for what was coming up within the situation, with the event, with what you saw. And feeling this pathway now is allowing other aspects of self to radiate up in and through you. So seeing it like stacking of Russian dolls, these nesting dolls, and that each of these versions of self that's been denied, that's been hidden, is allowed to fully take up space in your body. But because you are lovingly accepting and allowing those aspects of self to feel full, so you can feel full in out to the complete edges of your being. Feeling the aspects that are growing up and out. And all these versions of self that we're now integrating and allowing to feel that fullness, all these versions of self are on our side. And each version of self that fills your being has one coherent thought process. So all of these versions of self, because they have been through these beautiful processes of surrendering, forgiveness, love, transformation, we can feel that the mind is one mind. So each version of self that expands and fills into the mind is actually functioning as one mind, as one system. And you can feel that all of these versions are on my side, and the internal dialogue is collaborating. We have a collaborative inner dialogue. And each of these versions of self that expands all the way up to fill the entirety of our being has collaborative in nature, collaborative aspects of bringing the wisdom and the understandings from their life experience into the wholeness of you, so you can articulate and effectively communicate about these layers of self, because they are not hidden away and locked away in different parts of ourselves. So scanning the body again and feeling where there's more tightness, maybe in your hips, the arches of your feet, behind your knees, in your throat. Noticing where we're compacting very small aspects of self down and down and down, that's causing tension and tightness in the body. And with each aspect of understanding, and when it feels safe to do so, allowing those versions to expand into the fullness of self. And my inner voices are collaborating. My inner voices are on my side. Every version of myself is on my side. I exist without explanation. I exist without explanation. All versions of self are on my side. I embody my truth. I am whatever I say I am. Acting through your convictions, your integrity, self-trust, integrating the anima and animus energies, integrated and whole and balanced. There's no competing energy, it's balanced, it's mirrored. Harmony within the body. Feeling that personal identity, expanding. And that coherence, one mind, oneness with self. When we can feel all versions of self are in that oneness, it's that 0 point of focus within us that we can feel dialed in and moving with inspired action. And feeling that individuation, this self-realization, acting without inner judgment, Sorodai, moving without force, Yaradairi, and loving your own existence, Saradairi, becoming more and more and more yourself. This is this accumulation. We're accumulating all of these new aspects of self, every layer that we can feel the fullness of in our being, and allowing that version to integrate, become coherent within the one mind. We can speak our truth, we can speak our wisdom, we can share joyfully about our life. We can access this inner knowing, inner knowledge. Our stream of consciousness flows through. All of our senses are heightened. Clairvoyant aspects, intuition comes online. Feeling the fullness of these layers of self that you have allowed to integrate. one coherent stream of consciousness. Mirat sayarai, hirodorayatsi, hirayatai. And feel balanced, feel the wholeness, and move your body and feel the shifting of these integrated versions of self. Shrugging your shoulders, noticing the sounds around you. Feeling this deep in breath and out breath, the expanded rise and fall of your body with your breath, and feeling it's safe to be in my body, it's safe to be me. Just closing out with this Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Feeling saying this in whatever order you like. This beautiful Hawaiian prayer to radiate into our inner layers of self, so we can feel that individuation, that self-actualization, self-realization coming online more and more. So we are understanding our own depths of being, our perceptions of reality, of the way that we are led through life, through synchronicities, the way life shows you the way. Feeling that breath cycling through. And repeating to yourself, I exist without explanation. Mhm. And feeling into how good that feels with a smile on your face. And feeling that smile rippling into your heart, into your womb space, into your belly. Feeling that smile rippling out through your whole body, through all of these layers of your being. And as you feel your awareness coming more and more back into the present moment, Just moving your body, having another stretch. Just placing your hands on your heart or on your belly or on your body and feeling your presence with yourself, and that giving yourself permission to experience joy and bliss and beauty and love all around you, connectivity. Mm. And I'm going to sign off here and leave you in this state to continue to take your own internal processes or journal, and just flow however you need to for the rest of your day, evening, morning, wherever you're receiving this. All right, sending you so much love.